Hey everybody, it's me, Arthur Kade. As a lifelong Giants fan, it's such an honor to be sitting with one of my favorite players. I always put up on Facebook before I'm going to interview somebody, are there any fun questions?
And how many bad questions did you get?
You know what's funny? I had an ex-girlfriend write, "Run, Tiki, run."
Oh,
and then her sister, because when we used to cheer for you guys, I would literally get up screaming, "Run, Tiki, run." You're not running anymore. You're running in real life now.
I'm running in a business sense, which is in some ways a little bit harder than what I was doing for a living for 10 years with the New York Giants. That was a God-given talent, obviously honed a little bit with coaching and schemes and all that other stuff. But now that my professional football life is over, I'm a businessman, an entrepreneur, and also doing a radio show. So my life is crazy, but it's fun. I love being engaged.
So right now there's so much talk about life after football, obviously on the concussion side, the injury side, the health side, but also a huge discussion about what happens once you stop playing the game. You had mentioned the entrepreneur, you have a business studio. Talk to me about that.
So, to get to your first part of your question, it's one thing that the NFL tries to do really well, prepare guys for post NFL life, and it's really all sports. But the hard thing is you as a young kid, I can say child, but you're a kid, start to get your development arrested, right? Things get done for you. You don't have to worry about health. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about logistics. All that's done for you. But when your life as an athlete is over, all of a sudden you're thrown into the real world in a very shocking way. And a lot
of guys, millions of dollars potentially.
With millions of dollars, either you have it in the bank or you've spent it all, and you haven't spent your young adult life developing a career. And so unless you're properly trained or have the right opportunities post-career, sometimes it gets very treacherous. And guys fall on financial hardship, and you hear these stories consistently and constantly, and it's sad. But I consider myself very fortunate, mainly because of George Young, who drafted me in 1997, and I came to New York. And so obviously a lot of my focus was on being a great athlete, but tertiarily I got to engage with so many businessmen in this city and get so many business influences as a young person that when I retired I was ready to do whatever I wanted to do next. I obviously started in broadcasting. And then I started a company, Thuzio, which happened because I went to school with a guy, Rick Gerson, at the University of Virginia, whose brother, Mark Gerson, is a serial entrepreneur and started companies like GLG and Brightwire. We had lunch over a cigar, and we came up with the concept of Thuzio, which identified an issue for talent, but also for customers, not just corporate customers, but individual customers who have great affinity for athletes, but don't have a way to access them. So the market to book a talent to come to a party or a dinner or an event has existed forever. But the marketplace for those type of transactions with price transparency and easy booking and credit card payment has never existed.
You're the eBay of supplying athletes.
And in a lot of ways we are. It's a good analogy. And it's been successful so far. We've onboarded about 500 athletes, both in New York, or not both, but in New York and Southern Florida, and most recently in Los Angeles. And eventually we hope to put stakes all over the country where customers can get these unbelievable experiences with talents who they love, who they admired, either as when they were kids, because we found that your fandom peaks when you're about 12 to 15 years old, and now you can't access them because you can't find them. We've created a way for you to find your hero and then engage with them in whatever capacity you want.
Is it hard not being part of the game anymore? When we watch the Giants now, I honestly wish you were out there running again, especially after this season.
If I could borrow your knee, I would try.
My God, I think they averaged 1.8 yards a carry this season. But is it hard stepping away?
It was really hard when I first stepped away. I didn't want to do it anymore, but once I started watching the games, I felt like I should still be out there. But I knew it was the right time for me physically, emotionally, and really from a passion standpoint. I didn't have the passion to prepare and get ready for a season any longer. So when people ask me this question often, do I miss the game? I don't miss the game per se, but I missed Sunday afternoons. I miss being on that stage. I mean, you've been to Giant Stadium, you know what
There's
it's
nothing
like.
like it.
There's nothing like walking.
When the wind's blowing.
And it's
people are going
horrible,
nuts.
but that's our advantage because
It's
we're
the
used to
greatest
it.
thing ever.
But walking out of that tunnel and seeing 75, now it's
Big
85,000
blue.
people, just all big blue, all in your corner. They're going to boo you, but they're also going to cheer you when you have your successes. There's no rush like that you can find.
Yeah, Tiki, you bring up the physical aspect of it because, look around right now. You have the junior sale situation.
Yep.
Obviously, the concussions. The NFL's got probably a major lawsuit brewing. Talk to me about the physical toll that it takes being a running back for 10 years. I mean, you guys average like 3.5 years in terms of career span. You did 3 times longer. What type of body toll does it take?
It takes a significant toll, and it's something I know. And I was joking about your knee, but I know at some point I'm probably going to need a knee replacement. I was lucky that I didn't have a lot of the concussion issues that lead to the development of this protein called tau, which causes
CTE.
It causes CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and ultimately a lot of impulse control problems. And so you get depressed. You feel your self-worth falling, and your only recourse in some places or sometimes is to commit suicide. And it's sad, and it's a problem that is unfortunately becoming a real black eye for the NFL. You reference the lawsuits. I think there's 300 or so former athletes in a class action.
It's about to get nasty.
But you're also getting guys like Junior Seau's family who are suing individually. So there's many danger points from an NFL perspective, and it's kind of an existential problem, right? Because at some point we have to start saying that 5 or 10%, whatever that X is, former NFL players are dying unnaturally because of the game. The game has to change, or it has to go away. And so how we address that is significant. And I think the most important thing that's come out of the congressional hearings, the constant talk about it, is that it's trickling down. It's trickling down in the colleges. There's more awareness about what happens when a guy gets a concussion and what the protocol is when that guy gets a concussion. And most importantly, it's going to high schools where there's so much risk for high school athletes. One, because they're not strong enough, right? Their necks aren't strong enough. So when they get hit, the muscles in their neck can't prevent their head from snapping, which causes your brain to obviously shift and smash against your skull, creating a concussion. And the lack of medical help on sideline.
One of the interesting things, obviously your excommunication from the Giants once you retired went a little rough, although I think fans are now really starting to embrace you again. What's that been like? Because Giants fans are hypersensitive, of
course.
Way too hypersensitive. What was it like essentially getting out of their good graces, many of them, but now starting to get back in their good graces?
Well, it was unfortunate because there's no malice of forethought of the things that I was opining about when I was a journalist.
You were being a commentator.
It was my job to give a critical assessment of how I felt the Giants were, and there's no confusion about it. I didn't like Tom Coughlin, but we had a great professional relationship. On Sunday afternoons, there was never any dissension, and we always worked together. In fact, we had some great games together. I think the one that rubbed people the wrong way was Eli, and a joke that didn't come out right, that got picked up in New York media and exacerbated because he responded to it, and then they go and win the Super Bowl. So it made for the perfect story.
That's the most interesting part of it. Is Eli was probably up until then the most made fun of athlete. And then once you prove successful, you end up being the fall guy.
Well, exactly, and it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I hope that Giants fans, in the long run, just judge me for what I was as a football
You're the
player.
greatest. Your franchise's greatest running back. That's it.
I left it on the field. That's all I ever wanted to do. Every game, every week, and I became reliable as a player. And that's ultimately my legacy with the New York Giants. I think in time, people will accept that.
You're awesome, Tiki, and congratulations, man. With that being said, I get to induct the one and only Tiki Barber into Kade Nation. You ready to Kade out with me on 3?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Kade out.
Selvial, enough.